I want to know, when was the first date? Forget about all the reports. I want to know that day when you're in your office and you receive information and you have a sinking sensation that you may have a problem about where bodies are buried at Arlington National Cemetery. What year did that occur?
I never had that problem.
So you're saying that you never had any inkling that there could be an issue with the location of remains at Arlington National Cemetery until June of this year?
Until the IG's report.
But you're saying that until the IG's report came out in June, you had never been made aware of an instance where a headstone was marked wrong, a body was mislocated, an urn was found buried in the same location as other remains, that there were more than one body in one grave, that an urn had been... You never had any inclination...
No, I did have inclinations of those on a one-to-one basis, but...
So you knew there were problems, you're just saying that as they came along you fixed them?
Yes, ma'am.
Right. And when was the first date you knew that you had at least one problem that had been validated as to location of remains at Arlington National Cemetery? What year was that?
I don't know.
The documentation that we have developed for this hearing would indicate that you had personal knowledge of unmarked graves or mismarked graves in 2003. Would you disagree with that?
I'm not sure of the date, but if it's in the report, that was probably what was looked at. I'm not sure.
And Mr. Metzler, you testified earlier when I was asking you that 5 years ago you were aware of urns with cremated remains in them that had been found in the fill area of the cemetery.
That's correct.
So at that moment, you knew that someone's remains had been dug up and dumped somewhere in the cemetery without the people knowing they were digging up remains and not realizing they were dumping a family's member's remains in another part of the fill area of the cemetery that was unmarked. It was just in with the dirt, correct?
That's my understanding, yes.
Okay. Did you think to yourself, we've got a problem here?
Yes, I did.
And I assume you went right up to the Appropriations Committee and to OMB and to the Army Chief of Staff and said, we've got a crisis?
I did not.
We have urns being dug up that are unidentified and they've been dumped, and we've got to get on this because this could be occurring in every single section of the cemetery?
I did not do that, ma'am.
Did Mr. Metzler know that you were aware of mistakes that were being made throughout the cemetery in terms of the failure to properly mark graves or to make mistakes in the marking of graves?
Yes. Yeah.
So you knew in 2003, Mr. Metzler?
I did not know about a grave in 2003. It was brought to my attention a little bit later than that.
So you're saying that Mr. Higginbotham is not being truthful then, that he brought to you the problems that he knew as early as 2003 about the way that graves were being handled at Arlington National Cemetery. So in your earlier testimony, when you said you first found out about it when the Inspector General issued his report a month ago, that was not correct. This is not complicated. It's called keeping track of who you bury where. That is not a complicated task. And the notion that you would come in here and act like you didn't know about it until a month ago is offensive. You did know about it, and you did nothing. And you knew about it, Mr. Higginbotham, and you did nothing. And that's why we're here. We've got waste, we've got abuse, and we've got fraud. We've got the trifecta. And we have it concerning a national treasure. And that is very, very unfortunate.